I'm letting Alan know we'll be with him in about 10 minutes. He's already in the waiting room.
Join from my other account. No worries. Not going to upgrade tonight. I'll leave it right there. All right.
All right.
So you're back from Kansas City.
Kansas City. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. What was that all about?
We ate so much. Oh my goodness.
Well, when in Rome.
So my good friend Jay that you've met.
Yep. Have I met him though? It was like this.
I mean,
met small M.
Yeah, small. Small. I like it. Met small M.
Yeah.
You know who he is at least. So his youngest son is a sophomore in college, and we make a trip out every year to watch him play a game of basketball. He plays D2. Cool. So
nice.
They play it's Mid-America Nazarene, and they play a school called Graceland. What a game. It was great.
Cool.
It was a great game. Yeah, he's quite a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yeah. He looked like an athlete, the dad. Yeah, I saw him, and
yeah, he's annoying that way. I think I told you this. I mean, I have you're one of three guys that I'd call a close friend. There's Jay, Ryan, and you. All three of you are ridiculous athletes who can kind of just choose to control a game when you feel like it. It's annoying.
It's annoying. Listen to yourself, man. Have you not watched all the videos that I've shown of you just like jumping, doing a backflip off a boat, like slalom skiing, like picking it up, like just like that, jumping off a bridge, like, and it's effortless, like no fear. It comes natural. You did gymnastics. It all translated. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I would say I'm proficient. I'm not really good like you guys though. And it's annoying. Like my friend Ryan, he hardly ever plays ping pong, and I'll play him. I remember playing him once, and he's like, I've only played a couple of times. And after about the third or fourth game, I'm never going to beat him again because he's just so natural at it. And I've got my 10,000 hours in on ping pong, so that's not right. And then golf. Like I go golfing with either one of these guys, and it's just so easy for them, and it is a struggle for me.
Man, I don't see it. I don't see it. But if you say so, how about foosball?
Foosball. My neighbor has a foosball table. I just found out, and I went over there, and I couldn't. It was pretty even, and I think he might have beaten me, but we were playing doubles, and I'm just going to blame it on my partner, whoever that was.
All right, I don't want you make you call them out, whoever that is, because I know you're pretty nasty on the foosball table. Yeah, so you know the angles, you know the speeds. So yeah,
but nobody has the goalie angle shot like you do.
The goalie, yeah, I worked on that some. Yeah, the goalie angle shot. Yeah, this, off the wall. But Kansas City. So you talking about being full.
Yeah.
When I was with the Bills, we played Kansas City. It seemed like every other year, maybe every third year. I was there probably 3 or 4 times, and our team hotel was at the Adams Mark. And then we got there the afternoon before, of course, and there was one restaurant that they would put in our key envelope, the restaurants that were around, and Jack Stack's was always like the one where everyone was going to go. So you come out the Adams Mark, walk down like 2 blocks, and you go there, and it was like you just give me the special. We had a per diem of $53 or whatever, and it was smoked, pork, beef, bacon, turkey, just put all and we just indulged and keep it coming. And, a couple hours later, we were going back to the hotel for the, 11 o'clock curfew, but it was only like 9:30, but we're walking up that hill and we're like, oh man, I'm sweating. And ooh, yeah, and it was like, so my friend Paul Lancaster, the player development director at the time, who's now with the Eagles, who just won his second Super Bowl ring there. But anyway, we would talk, and he'd be like, "Man, I got the Kansas City meat sweats."
Yeah, I can see that
You know what I'm
happening.
talking about?
Yes, I could see that happening. No, I didn't
Yeah.
overeat that much. It's just though we went out to eat 3 times. We were there 3 days and went out to eat for 3 big meals. So
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot.
Protein.
Well, yeah, there's some great restaurants there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a place called the Farmhouse. I forget what area it's in, but if you're in Kansas City, go to the Farmhouse. Amazing food. I had pulled
Sounds
pork,
fresh.
everything was farm to table. Yeah, pulled pork, eggs Benedict. Oh my gosh, for breakfast.
Ooh,
Yeah.
right.
Mm. Yes,
Oh,
please. So good.
yes,
Oh,
please.
on poblano grits. Oh my gosh. Poblano grits, they were so good.
All right.
I did feel like I didn't need to eat for a week after that, but
Yep.
I
Stockpile.
did. Yeah. So what's going on with you?
Doing all right, man. Looking forward to yeah, talking with Alan Hodge here. So,
Your
but
your mic is clicking.
clicking. All right. Let's see.
I don't know, it's a little staticky. This will make great video. Welcome to the podcast where Tom just looks at Don's picture.
How's that?
Could you hear that music?
No, no, I missed the music.
Oh, I was playing music, Celine Dion, all by myself.
Well played. Well played. Will that get through the YouTube?
I don't know, because it asked me if I was playing music, so maybe it'll.
We'll find out. We'll try.
All right, we might want to bring our guest on.
Let's do that.
All right, let's admit. Here we go. Yeah, I wonder what your issue was with the audio. So
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Hold on.
yeah.
Let me get a pencil here. See him. Well, I see the name.
Hey,
Yeah,
Alan.
just a second.
You're all good. We're
There we go.
all right. Hey.
Here he is.
Hey, how are
Oh,
you?
Hodge. How you doing, man?
Doing
Good
awesome.
to see you.
Good to see you too. All right. I'm obviously taking in everything I see from you. Right behind you, I see you're making a big thing of grandchildren. So
Yes,
is that a tally going on? Like,
it
like
is.
we already
Maybe 9. Do you have 9 and counting?
That's crazy, man.
This one is March 4th. We'll have number 9.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. That doesn't seem possible. You don't look anywhere near.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple questions, Alan. Where are we calling you? Where are we calling you from?
So
Right.
I'm in Virginia. Closest, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Virginia, but about the closest city we go to is Charlottesville.
Charlottesville. So you're south of Shenandoah National Park.
Yes.
Okay. Because I live in Virginia as well,
Do you really?
north of Shenandoah. So I'm above Front Royal, between Front Royal and Winchester.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
Very
So
familiar with
Shenandoah is
that.
like the Mason Dixon line for our show right now. It's like
You might be like you're probably you're maybe 2 hours away from me.
So do you know where the Wintergreen Resort is?
I don't. I'm going to soon.
I live right next to it.
he's about to know. Yeah. I wondered. So I always associated you, Alan, with being in Virginia, but I didn't know if you were still there.
Okay.
Yep, been here. Well, I did have a stressor time when I was in Maryland, but I've been here for the last
Okay.
21 years anyway.
All right. And then before that, like when you were coming up to camp, you were coming from Virginia, right?
Yeah, Northern Virginia then.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Northern Virginia.
When you say Northern Virginia, you mean like Fairfax
Yeah,
area?
Annandale.
Okay. My youngest daughter lives in Aldie, Virginia, which is it's near
I shop at Aldi.
Yeah.
Aldie, I think. But yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
that is.
Nice.
So Scott Olson, the Olson family was from Fairfax.
Yeah, yeah. They lived like a couple miles from us.
That's it?
Uh,
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah.
Don, that is
So,
amazing.
so I mean, we actually carpooled up there together. The Olsons and me and my sisters, to when we worked up there.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh. So your
Oh,
sister, Holly, right? She was younger.
That was so. I have three sisters. I had an older sister that was at camp before me.
Okay.
okay.
Lila is her name. And then Holly was 5 years younger, and then Sherry was 11 years younger.
Wow. That's a big span.
That is a big span, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I didn't realize that. So I knew you knew the Olsons, but I didn't realize you were like carpooling up to camp with them.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I actually learned to drive stick on that pickup truck.
No, no way.
Yes.
Wow. Those
That was not fun.
yeah, I'm sure. I got a feeling Alan was like, 10-2, and Scott was just whatever Scott does.
Well, I mean, Scott was just 13 when I first went at that time. And
No.
what I mean, I don't even know why this ended up being the happening, but somehow, I mean, I was 17 years old. It was my second summer at camp, and somehow I was driving the Olson's stick shift pickup truck from Virginia up to camp, and I had like 10 minutes of lessons on the column stick shift
That's
on
right.
this ancient truck.
3 on the tree, they called it, right?
Yeah, it was quite a trip.
Wow. All right.
That is amazing.
You spent some
So,
time in that truck, Tom.
so yeah, I did.
Alan broke it in for Scott, I think.
What year would that have been, Alan?
That would have been 81.
Okay. So 81 was your first summer,
No, that was my second summer. My first summer was 80.
1980.
Yeah. So I'm a few years older than you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to do some math here in my head.
I'm 61.
Okay.
Man, you do not like. I know people.
Yeah.
You don't look at all. Like not even close. I don't think of you, and you don't look at. You look like saying, but
And what years did you work? So you started in 80. How many years did you work?
So I guess I worked there for 7 summers, but they weren't all consecutive.
Okay.
So I was there.
You were there in 93. Were you working then?
So I was there the summer of 92, and that year I was no. Yeah, 92. I was married and had a kid at that point in time, but I worked for 2 years as a school teacher. And so I had a summer free and ended up there. And I was assistant rec director that year to Jim Rumsey.
Jim Rumsey. I was gonna put an over under on how long it would take for his name to come up.
Yeah.
It was about 5 to 6 minutes, and we're probably like right there. Like I knew when I think of you, Alan, I think of you as being a kind of a protege of Jim. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to bring him up. Talk more about it. But yeah,
Jim was a huge influence on me, and I just really respect him and loved being a part of what he was doing there.
Love it.
yeah. He's a bigger than life kind of guy, and
Yeah.
we're going to get into some stuff here in a bit. And I have a feeling that there are other ways that we're going to hear that he was an influence on you. So,
Yeah.
so your first year, so 80, that's earlier than I would have thought. But
Yeah. So let's see. I was there 80, 85. I was not there.
Me neither.
Okay. Okay. 80. I skipped 84. Was it 84? No, I skipped 85 because I got a job that was giving me some experience for in my field. And then I came back in 86, and that was the year I was rec director.
Okay.
But that's a story there because I was they only asked me to be rec director a week before camp started.
All right. That's something I
Plenty
want
of
to ask
time.
you about because I remember you.
I
Uh,
had no clue what I was doing.
I remember you, being on stage during chapel, and I
Yes,
always
I
thought,
remember
like,
that.
yeah, like that would be you'd kind of work up to that, and it sounds like you were sort of just thrown into that. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that was I was not prepared for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a funny story about that we've never talked about, Don, where
Yeah.
the third summer I was up there, I was the team director, and you had to give announcements for team director every day, right? Like, hey, here's what we're doing today. We're going rafting and then s'mores at night, right? That type of thing. They, and I don't know if you had to do this or not, Alan, but there was an expectation that we would tell a joke.
Oh yeah.
And so I was 19. I was not qualified.
Right.
First of all, stand up there, much less have any kind of social awareness of what a good joke would be for that audience. I told the following joke and I got reprimanded by your dad for this. So, it's not even that funny a joke, but so there was
Joke about the joke is funny. I
the
could
joke about the joke would be fantastic. So there was a retired football player walking through his town, and there was a building on fire, and there's a woman up at the top with a baby, and she can't get her baby out. So he's like, "Throw it to me. I'm a receiver." So she's only like 2 floors up, so she throws her baby. Perfect catch, no problems.
Oh, that's a terrible punchline. So you told that joke on stage?
I told that joke on stage and was asked not to tell jokes anymore.
Wow. Okay. It's a funny
Yeah,
joke, but I could see where that would have been. Yeah.
it'd be inappropriate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ellen. I interrupted you because
No, that was
you just reminded me of that.
that was good. Um,
Okay, so you kind of had some breaks. I have video of you from 1993, so I don't know if you were working that year or just happened to go up for a week and they dropped
so
you.
I was up there for the whole summer in 92. And then for a couple summers after that, my wife's an oboist, and
Oh,
she had a quintet that provided music after most of the music staff had gone home the last week
uh,
of camp. And so her quintet, we were up there with her quintet to uh, for for them to do the music.
Wow.
all right, so let me go back. I was going to share screen because we have a lot to get through with you, Alan. So
One of the yeah, before you do that too, Tom, while you're doing that, when you came to camp, Alan, there's a connection you have with the Ballman family, right?
Yeah, so Bob and Pat Ballman are my aunt and uncle.
Oh,
ah,
So
okay,
Bob is my mother's brother.
uh,
your
is
mother's brother. Okay,
got it. Okay.
he's your
Wow.
uncle. That's
Yep.
super interesting. I never would have put those together.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, because Mike, got to Mike. The Ballman family ended up moving to Speculator. I got to know Mike really well. He
Yeah.
was a little younger than me, but
Yeah.
I don't think it was until he moved there permanently and told me that of the family connection. He was like really proud of the Hodges, and so they were from like Iowa, right, or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you came from Virginia, but it was cool to piece that together.
Yeah.
All right. So, a couple questions, Alan. Have you seen our podcast before.
I've watched a couple of them. Yeah.
So you know what you're in for. That's good.
Yeah, it's okay if you, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Second, have you read Don's book?
I have. I read that. Thank you,
Okay.
Don. That was a joy to read.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you, Alan. Yeah, I appreciated your message when you reached out to me and said that you read it, and yeah, that meant a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually bought a copy for each of my sisters too.
Oh, really? Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
Thanks.
That's cool. All right. So then, are you familiar with Story Time with Tom?
You're about to be.
No, I'm not.
All right. This is a segment.
That's
This
okay.
is a segment where we read out of Don's book, but we're gonna have Don read the next section. So, are you ready, Don?
I I have no choice, right?
Here's a good plug for your book.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. All right. Yeah. I wondered if this might come up tonight. So, all right. This was a chapter about the auditorium. All right. Here we go. Aptly. Boy, I almost had 2 cups of coffee that morning before I came over. Aptly named to honor Camp's founder, George F. Tibbets. George F. Pop Tibbets, the 1,200-seat indoor amphitheater sits on a hill that overlooks Lake Pleasant in the heart of Camp's 100 acres. From every seat in the house, the sight lines are unobstructed, and the acoustics, at least to this amateur ear, are excellent. Besides its main function, Tibbets Auditorium has a warmth and a special versatility that sets it apart from other houses of worship. Where else besides Tibbets Auditorium can a person be moved by music in the morning, then be entertained later that same evening during skit night by Recreation Director Alan Hodge in bold, juggling a bowling ball, an axe, and an egg?
So that
All
really
right.
happened.
All right. Yeah. No, the concept of this is so um, so real, and whether or not those were the 3 objects that you actually juggled, and I believe you probably did or could have if you didn't. That's
Yeah,
my memory of it.
those were
So
3 of them. Yep.
yeah, excellent. Wow. Like, how was it building up to, like, besides talking on stage and doing the announcements, like, what was scarier, giving the morning announcements or juggling
Morning
those crazy
announcements.
things? Okay. Yeah. Juggling was more natural. Yeah. How
Couple,
did, yeah.
wait, just a couple questions first.
Yeah.
Obviously, juggling is part of your life because we know your kids are in it too. So, is it okay for us to talk about it? Like,
Yeah.
or are you sick? You're like, juggling. I talk about it all the time. I don't want to talk about it with you guys.
No.
Okay, kind of too bad because that's what we like to talk about. So I'm really curious. I can juggle, but after I saw your son's video, I'm like, I can't juggle. I'm terrible at it. But I mean, I feel like I'm a good juggler, but I cannot do more than 3. I mean, I can juggle behind my back and between my legs and things like that, but I cannot juggle more than 3. So I'm going to ask for your, how to do that next step. But I'm curious how you got started.
Yeah.
How much of your life is it a part now?
So back to Jim Rumsey.
There we go.
My
All right.
first summer at camp, I didn't start juggling. I mean, I could juggle a little bit, but I was not even doing it right with 3 balls. And my first summer at camp, there are actually 2 people that influenced me on juggling my first summer at camp. One was just watching Jim. He did a little juggling act during skit night, and where he'd like kick his shoe off or something like that and start juggling his shoe. And I thought it was entertaining. I thought that was neat, and I thought, oh, I'd like to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then there was somebody else. I think his name was Ken. I think he was in the sound booth. If it was in the sound booth, it had to be Ken, because I think we had like 4 Kens working in the sound booth all in one year. And he showed me the right way to juggle 3 balls. I was doing a goofy pattern, and then I didn't work on it that summer at all. But I went back home and immediately just started like really enjoying juggling, just learning a lot of everything I could think of, and
Yeah.
made some juggling clubs out of Clorox bleach bottles that I stuck over broomstick handles, and learned to juggle clubs with
Wow.
those.
Okay.
And
So the clubs they're like weighted on one end, right? Like lighter or thinner on one side and then heavier.
yeah,
So that adds an extra element to you have to catch them in the handles. Like,
right,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so anyway, yeah, that was so that year I worked on juggling a lot, and then the next summer I came back and had learned a number of things, and what got me actually performing there was Doug Schoen, and he asked me to juggle during the concerts.
How did he see you do it? Like, what made him think, oh, we like,
I think I was like standing out in front of my field house cabin practicing the bowling ball, axe and egg, or something like that. And
That's amazing.
yeah.
and uh, he asked me if I wanted to do it in a concert.
He was really doing the scouting. He was like going around
Yeah,
looking for talent. Wow. That's,
that's very cool. But I mean, there's only so far you can go unless you get some training or learn the techniques,
yeah,
right?
there's no
So
YouTube videos, right?
So
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
there
there
was,
weren't
yeah.
YouTube videos, and actually YouTube has had a huge influence on juggling. Juggling has gone up by leaps and bounds because people can learn from YouTube now, and they couldn't back then. But I met some other jugglers that I learned stuff from over time, and that was really helpful. Um, but
And how much time were you spending practicing at that point in your life?
so nothing compared to what my kids did.
Okay.
Uh, but I mean, I would juggle, maybe an hour or something like that in a day.
Yeah,
Whereas my kids would go and juggle like, all day.
that's crazy.
that's cool
I
that you had
mean,
that much influence. Like they were that impressed, or that they wanted to be like, yeah, we want to do this and take it to a new level. I gotta say, the whole idea of juggling never even entered my brain until I saw you do it, and I kind of secretly started in our garage, with the three tennis balls, and
you
I
took it recently?
oh no, like back then,
Oh,
Back
yeah,
then, yeah.
back then,
okay.
in my teens, and
Sure.
where no one could, there's this humility thing, right? You don't want to, but I think Alan gave me a quick like 5 minute tutorial about starting with two tennis balls or golf balls. It was right around that, between the field house and the tennis courts and the golf, and it was starting with one hand and throwing one up, and then when one hits your eyesight, then let it go and let the other one go, and then add the other one. And
Yeah.
I was terrible at first, but I got to where I could do three to the point where it impressed my family. And that's all to this day. And
That's all
whoa,
you need.
wait,
That's
you
all
can
you
see
need.
this guy though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually took classes, I forget where, some camp in Indiana. There was a juggling class that I took, and I learned some simple things like be consistent with the arc that you're throwing the ball. That once you get just toss the ball back and forth to get it a consistent height. It's like eye level,
Yeah.
and then you can start introducing additional balls.
No way.
But yeah, I mean it was
I've seen it, Tom, but I wasn't going to invest. That seemed way too hard.
yeah. I actually learned at a camp in upstate, somewhere in New York. I think more Western New York. I forget the name of the camp I was at. I saw someone juggling. I'm like, that looks cool. And so I spent like an afternoon and picked it up. It's not that hard to get started. It's hard to be really good and be able to keep it going forever, but
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I am curious, how do you get to, and I think four is more difficult than probably five. I think that,
No, five is more difficult.
is
Five
it?
is a
Okay.
lot harder
Yeah.
than four.
I see what the next,
Yeah. No, four is just two in each hand. So if you can juggle two in one hand, two in the other, just do it at the same time.
Yeah, I probably can do that. How big a part of your life is juggling right now?
Right now, it's not very big. Basically, when we go on family vacations and such, everybody pulls their juggling props out and we have a good time. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much the only time I juggle. Actually, yeah, my Chris, my second son, was down here at Christmas time, and we went out and did some juggling.
Very cool.
But besides that, I don't juggle.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to return.
Yeah.
We're going to return to that topic, but I think it's a very cool skill, and it's not as easy as you guys make it look.
Oh, yeah. No, it's wild to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back here. So are you familiar with the on the spot segment?
It's
No.
okay if you're not, because you're on the spot now.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it says.
Yeah.
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 So
All right.
just know that your answers here are for Don's mom.
Okay, I did see these questions, and I'm glad I saw them because it gave me a chance to think about them a little bit. So I think
All
I
right.
can give you some answers.
I mean, I would like you to start with number one just to understand how you got to camp.
Um, so my family has a long history there. My great grandfather was in the wedding party of Pop Tibbets.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay. You're a legacy.
Yeah, they worked together at the YMCA before he started camp.
Wow.
And
Wow. Okay.
And then my grandfather was involved with camp, and my mom, he worked at camp, and my mom worked at camp, and aunts and uncles worked at camp, and sisters worked at camp. So
You were destined. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
My older sister was there a couple years before I started.
Wow.
It's a family place.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
no, I knew that Mike Ballman actually told me that the reason they first came up was Pop Tibbets wanted Mike's father, Bob Ballman's brother or something like that to work there.
Yeah.
And he said something like, "Hey, bring your little brother Bobby along." So that he came there. Mike tells it much better.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to press him on that for the second book to get the details. But yeah, the fact that that's your family too, Alan. That's a rich, deep history. That's very cool.
It is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can pick some other questions if you like.
All right. These look different than the ones I copied down from a previous
Yeah, we like to keep
episode.
people
Yeah.
Let's see. What were your camp staff jobs? So I started off in the TP for like 2 weeks, and then I got switched to lifeguard.
Okay.
So I was lifeguard for a long time. And then after lifeguard, I was rec director. So I hadn't even been on regular rec staff when I became rec director.
No way. No partnership. Now they're throwing you on stage.
So yeah, I just been a lifeguard pretty much. I did head usher, which was a fun job.
Yeah. I remember that actually too.
Yeah, everybody avoided me.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get that.
Why? Because they didn't want to be recruited to usher for the concerts.
Oh, that's funny.
Weekend nights. Yeah.
I did. I substituted as a waiter a lot in the dining hall. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Every time you mention anything, I want to invoke like, did they ask you to juggle the plates or whatever? I'm trying to hold back on all these references.
When I was in the dining hall, there was a trick I did with I could if I was serving bug juice, I could have a full glass and like turn it upside down and set it down in front of them. And they always thought I was gonna spill it on them. And that was fun. It got good tips.
Good tips.
Unless you did spill on them.
I'm guessing Jim Rumsey taught you that somehow.
Yeah, I don't remember where I learned that.
Yeah. The learning curve had to be kind of tricky there, like for the times that how many fails did it take to?
It's a pretty easy trick, but it looks pretty cool.
But
I did have a guy who asked me to purposely spill it on somebody. And he was going to give me, I don't know, $20 or something like that. And
back then, $20 would have been pretty tempting.
Yeah, it was tempting, but I didn't do it. I'd ended up in your dad's office, I suppose.
With $20. We've all been to his dad's office.
Yeah. So which one was that?
That was number 2.
All right. Yeah, don't feel you have to go through all of them, but as many as whatever pops out at you.
All right. Which story from your time at camp have you repeated most? I don't know that I really have a story. It's just, but I think what I have said most about camp to other people has been the impact that the Bible teaching and chapel had on me.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me. Like, what do you think is different in your life because of camp's impact?
So, I grew up going to church, very involved in church.
Yeah.
But the teaching wasn't as clear to me as what a lot of the, we Alistair Begg and all these top-notch preachers. And I understood it a lot better. And just really gained an appreciation for the Bible from the chapel services that I didn't have before coming to camp.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
Yeah.
I think it's had that impact on quite a few people, campers and staff, which is such a huge impact.
Yeah.
Add up all the years of camp. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder too, like if camp was a bit ahead of its time in terms of, the setting that you would have heard those things in, maybe not on Sunday, but like during the week, people came dressed casually, comfortably, in an amazing environment, not in what was then a traditional kind of buttoned up setting, and I wonder how much that lent itself to being open and comfortable and receptive to hearing the word there.
I loved every aspect of the chapel services. I even though I'd heard the jokes a zillion times, I loved all the jokes. And just it was all, I really enjoyed the chapel services from beginning to end.
Yeah. Then you were delivering them. You were like,
yeah.
It wasn't even on rec staff. And now I'm okay. Hold on. There was a rabbi and a priest go into a bar, and then hold on. It's funny. Trust me. Wait, hold on.
Oh, that's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm curious about number 4. Did you read Don's book? Did it like surface a bunch of memories for you?
It did. There are a bunch, but I thought of one that I thought would be good to share. So reading about the way that your dad, Don, handled that car wreck prank and was able to both correct and encourage at the same time. That reminded me of how both your dad and grandfather corrected and encouraged me when I was starting out as rec director. So I don't really remember the first rec announcements, but I must have bombed. And I was living in the gatehouse cabin, and I got a knock on the door, and I open it up, and your dad's standing there, and he says, and he tells me that his dad wants to talk to me,
Oh no.
and that he's in the car parked right out in front of the cabin. So I get in the car with Gordon, and um anyhow, what, I was probably shaking, but uh Gordon says, do you think you have a good recreation program? And I said, yes. And he says something like, when you give the announcements, let the people know that.
Uh-huh.
And he seemed to have confidence that I could do that. And that was basically all he had to say. But he was very gentle. The circumstances were nerve wracking, but but
Right.
the words were very encouraging, actually. And then afterwards, I don't know how long, sometime shortly afterwards, your dad comes to me and just asks me, how it went, just showing he cared, you know, and no, I just really appreciated that.
Wow. So that's really interesting. They thought that yeah, they should talk to you about it, and it makes me feel like maybe they thought putting you up there, maybe you were trying too hard to make too much of, the presentation, while overlooking kind of the obvious and the reason you were up there, which was just talk about how great the rec program
Program.
Yeah,
was,
yeah. I
and
mean, I,
like,
I
hey,
honestly
relax,
don't
just
remember what I said in those announcements at all. I don't remember even being up there, but I just remember
blacked out.
them talking to me afterwards.
Wow, that's so interesting because it's funny, before we came on here, Alan, like, think leading up to days to talking with you here, and I can't thank you enough for doing this, but um, I had this curiosity about. Um, I remember you being on stage, and I think for most people, I remember being on stage. There was some kind of, like, step by step leading up to that, and oh yeah, no, I could see them. They've been doing this for years, and now, of course, they're up there. Where all of a sudden you were just up there, like,
Yeah,
without, you know, and but then there's this juxtaposition of you doing the announcements and you having the courage to go up there and do the craziest things I've ever seen juggling that I didn't know a human being could do.
Yeah.
And you did it all, but it's funny how you describe doing the announcements as being more difficult than that. Like, it's so interesting.
yeah. So I should bring in another name here on this, who you've already interviewed and well, and that's Beth Markel.
Oh yeah. All right.
So Beth was the assistant rec director that year, and she should have been rec director. She was far
Yeah,
more
she was
prepared than I was for that,
probably really good at that, right?
and she was just. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if she hadn't been there, because she took on a lot of responsibilities, and I'm not a creative guy really, and she was the one that anything that we did during the announcements was probably her idea for the most part. Anything that was supposed to be funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's amazing. She just has a calming influence on anyone she's around. It's like, this will be okay, that'll be okay, and there's a faith-based element to it that she has.
She's a
Um,
natural leader
a
too.
real gift. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Don, Alan made me think of a question I need to ask you then. So I think Alan's saying that your grandfather might be a little intimidating. And I think,
Me
I
too.
mean, some of that's got to be the position, right? He's kind of the boss's boss
Right.
at camp, and he's also got he had the years on everybody, so he's got the maturity. But were you intimidated by your grandfather or not?
It's funny because it depends on the setting. If I was, on staff as I worked on the teepee at 14 and 15, then rec staff, then I took the year off. Then of course we did boats. Um, if I was, and I tried to take in the camp experience, the staff experience, as if my last name was Smith or Jones or Johnson or whatever, and detach myself from that. And in that context, yeah, I was, because I just respected so much what he was doing. But then, there were
About like
times, yeah.
family gatherings. What about like a family
Well,
gathering?
well, yeah, but then it's funny because if I were going home, I lived in the field house cabins, but every once in a while during the summer, um, probably because I had laundry to do, so I would go up, like 10 o'clock or 10:30 on a night, and take my laundry to my parents' house up in the Yellow Hill. So I'd go by Grandpa and Grandpa's red house, and I would see a light on, and I would just pop in at 10:30, and he was there, and I thought, wait, Saturday night, I bet he's watching Benny Hill. And I would go in, and I would just sit down, and he called me little, he called me killer, and whatever. He would just, oh my gosh, hey, sit down. And he would go, Andy, do we have some cake or anything? And have a seat. And we would watch Benny Hill, and the two of us would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And
Amazing.
yeah, and it was like everything was just broken down being in his house. But then when I got back into the camp experience, for those weeks, I was kind of took the role of just having this respect and kind
Yeah.
of kind of a fear, yeah. Like most other people, maybe a softened one, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Amazing.
I think definitely people had kind of a fear, but it was not like a bad fear. It was like
Right,
it was a
right,
respect fear that
Yeah.
people had for
yeah.
for Gordon. And but I've got a related story. I was I was there postseason washing some dishes in Woodlands, and Gordon comes in and sounds angry and says,